Hey folks, what's going on? We're here with Tim. Tim is the WODdoc, and he's also a chiropractor who understands a lot about mobility. So we've talked a lot about tissue work. We're educating you on self-myofascial release. We've mentioned a lot about doing mobility drills and doing different kind of repatterning drills. So we're going to ask, Tim here, why is that so important?
I say this to pretty much everybody, is that mobilization or mobility is just, it's a gateway to being able to repattern, right? So if we're limited or if we have pain in a certain motion or function, we tend to move around that. People don't like pain in general, right? Like I wouldn't.
So if my shoulder hurts, I'll put my shirt on differently.
Yeah, exactly. Or the best one to think of is a limp, right? So if I hurt or injure my knee, for example, and I don't like to fully extend my knee, I'll walk with a limp. Like I'll come like this, and I'll never fully extend my knee. And even after that knee pain has gone away, people have shown in their studies that show you that people will continue to walk with a limp, right? So using a mobility device or any other type of adjunct to what you want to do, that just gives you the freedom to help, that repatterning exercise. Now, I'm a huge person that believes that the ultimate, the pinnacle, so to speak, is the rehabilitative exercise.
Right.
And that mobilization is an adjunct to allow us to rehabilitate. It's the same thing with surgery, right? We do surgery because it gives us a window to rehabilitate. And if it allows us to. If we have for some reason a structural deformity or a torn tendon or something like that, we still at the end of the day end up doing rehab. Right, we don't just get surgery and call it a day and go home.
You have to rehab.
Exactly, because what we need to do is then retrain those proper movement patterns. So like you said, putting on a shirt because my shoulder hurts, if I'm the person that goes like that to raise my arm because I have shoulder pain, all right, I need to learn to bring my shoulder back and down and then lift my arm back up, but that only comes with practice. It's just like anything else. We practice to learn how to ride a bike, we practice to learn how to swing a golf club, we practice to learn how to run, and all these things, they become degraded with pain or with fatigue or anything else, but with practice and re-education.
Right. Now, would you say that the term corrective exercise has gotten out there and into the sense where people don't even know what that means anymore?
I don't even know what it means.
You don't even know what it means?
So corrective exercise is kind of thrown around there with mobility, right?
Right.
So when we say mobility, I mean, does that mean stretch?
What does that mean?
Roll?
Right. What does mobility mean? What does mobility mean?
Man, put me on the spot there. What does mobility mean? I would say mobility is that's a hard answer to give. I don't even know anymore.
I mean, it's basically just having range of motion, essentially, correct range of motion.
Yeah, so there's multiple different forms of mobility, right? So you have your anatomical range of motion, right? And that's just, do you have that motion, right? Like if I'm flexing, extending my arm, like, do I have a severe limitation? Well, I can show you on my right arm, since I broke that in several places. I have an anatomical loss of motion. That's range of motion. Mobility then could be broken down further into functional mobility, right? So while I'm doing a certain exercise, can I still support that? And that's when you start including stability. So that works best with the squat. We see people all the time, they go ahead, they squat, and they get stuck here. I can't go any farther, right? You say, okay, Mrs. Smith, could you go like this? Could you bring your knee past your hip? Well, you can. Let's check this one. How come both knees can go past your hip in this case, but when I squat like this, that's where I get stuck, right? And because you're adding other facets to rather just the range of motion, now you're adding a facet of stability. Can you stabilize through that range, right? Can you do a functional activity and still maintain that range of motion that you have when you're not under load, right? So I guess that's two different terms of mobility.
Yeah.
And when we're mobilizing, right?
Mobilization, mobilizing, these are those terms that, again, I think are getting thrown out there, and everyone, just starts jumping on the bandwagon, but they don't truly understand what it is.
Right.
So, go ahead.
So when we're mobilizing, I think that we have to understand why we're mobilizing. So the first thing that we have to do is some type of assessment, like just because you have pain, doesn't mean necessarily, oh, we're just going to jump on there. I think there's so many great resources out there that teach you how to mobilize. They teach you the how, but they don't teach you the why. And whether that means that you go to a professional to look at those things, or whether that means that you learn some type of self-assessment. Either one, I think, is appropriate to a certain degree, but I think that you need to learn why you're mobilizing a certain particular part, or not necessarily a region. Maybe it's a pattern. Okay, like for instance, we use squats all the time. Like immobility in a squat, not being able to reach the bottom of a squat, has about 50,000 different reasons why that can happen. You know, I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating, but it could come from the ankle, it could come from the knee, it could come from the hip, it could come from not necessarily immobility, it could come from instability.
Right.
Maybe I don't have stability in the torso, maybe I don't have stability in the knees or the hips or the ankles. You know, maybe that's the reason, maybe I'm collapsing rather than you're not having mobility.
So there's probably a neuromuscular component to that as well.
Sure, absolutely there is.
So teaching someone the pattern over and over, cracking the hips. You know, a lot of people don't know how to hip hinge, so they end up, you know, bending rather than hinging.
Yeah.
So if you can teach them that, they may not have a stability or mobility issue, they just don't know how to move correctly.
Yeah, neurologic pattern,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So we might be able to move our legs all around, but we might not, and we might be able to balance by standing up, but we might not be able to ride a bike because nobody taught us how to ride a bike.
Right.
You know.
Well, guys, if you want to check out WODdoc on the Instagram or WODdoc.com, plenty of good resources there on how to mobilize. It's something that I think goes very, very hand in hand with doing the tissue work. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you pee out and drink plenty of water.
All right, great. See you guys.
Thank you.